Hi everybody, my name's Melena. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you're not. Today's the last day of February, and I realized when I saw Steph Bohr's reading wrap-up for this month that I never filmed a January reading wrap-up, so I'm going to combine them. I've read 16 books over these past 2 months, 12 of those in January and 4 of them in February. Kind of slowed down a little bit this month. I've been busy. I don't like to force myself to read because it is something I do enjoy. I do have a goal of 100 books this year. I did last year. I made it to 82, which I'm still really happy about. If you read more or if you read less, it doesn't matter. If you like to read, then you're a reader. I don't feel like it should be some major challenge between people online to see who can read more and who can read the most and who's more intellectual. Like, read what you want. Enjoy what you want. If I say anything about one of these books that you don't agree with, maybe you really liked it and I didn't, or vice versa. Everybody just like respect each other's opinions on books. Okay, we're gonna start. January 4th, I finished Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I really liked it, but I kind of felt disappointed. A lot of people have probably heard about this book. You may have heard about it and you didn't even realize. If you've heard that one sound on TikTok.
Nearly everything I know about love, I've learnt in my long-term friendships with women.
I also love that quote. I just heard people being like,
this is my favorite book ever, like, I just love it so much.
But I did love a lot of the quotes in it. She does talk just about being in her 20s and getting new jobs and traveling, dating and everything in her life, but she really does focus on her friendships with women. And I think that is such a powerful theme. Friendships with women are so important, and I know I've had multiple in my life that have really changed me for the better, even if I'm not friends with them anymore. I still have my highlights on Goodreads, so I'm gonna see if I have anything that really spoke to me and I want to share with you guys. I could have not been more ill-suited to the state of adolescence. I was desperate to be an adult, desperate to be taken seriously. I hated relying on anyone for anything. We know the names of all of our grandparents and our childhood toys, and we know the exact words that when put in a certain order will make each other laugh or cry or shout. There isn't a pebble on the beach of my history that she has left unturned. She knows where to find everything in me, and I know where all her stuff is too. She is, in short, my best friend. I don't need to change my shape to make myself worthy of someone's love. There's just so many. I don't rate nonfiction, memoirs, books I read for school. I just want to preface with that. So I did not rate this book just because when I'm reading somebody's life story, I don't feel like it's right for me to go and sit and be like,
oh, this is a 2 stars, this is a 3 stars. Like,
I don't know. Something about that just doesn't sit right for me, so I don't do it. The next book I finished also on January 4th. I was on a roll. I did listen to the audiobook. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F by Mark Manson. And I did not like it that much. I didn't like the tone. I was like, this guy is so full of himself. Let go of what other people think of you. It truly isn't that serious. I do agree with that, but I just didn't like the tone. So it wasn't my favorite. Moving on. January 5th, I finished a short story. It's called Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've read all of her books. Actually, no, I haven't read her backlist, and I just got my hold in for Carrie Soto's back, so I'm reading that. I had never really heard about this short story. It's a Kindle Amazon original story. I rated it 4 stars. It was so good. Like, the story is all told in letters, and pretty much this woman writes to this man because her husband had an affair with his wife. I don't know if that makes sense. She's like,
just so you know, my husband is cheating on me with your wife.
So they start this friendship in sorts because they're both kind of going through the same things with like their partner's infidelity, and they really just build this bond. Also, if you know the song Illicit Affairs by Taylor Swift, please listen to that song while you're reading this. It's insane. Next book, it was Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I did give Sally Rooney another chance. If you didn't know, I didn't really like normal people that much. Sue me, sue me, sue me. I guess I'm just not one for like the slice of life stories, and it really frustrated me that as grown adults they were unable to communicate with each other. But that's not the book we're talking about. We're talking about Beautiful World, Where Are You? I don't even really know how to, like, I don't know how to explain the plot. It's so just like all over the place. Guess what? The characters in this book also don't know how to communicate, so Sally Rooney girl, what's going on? I did rate it a 2.5 out of 5 because I was like, it's kind of just like middle of the road. Like, I kind of enjoyed myself. I listened to it as an audiobook, but it wasn't I feel like a 3 is like my average. Like, I'm like, oh, I like this book, but it wasn't anything like one of my favorites. but it also wasn't the worst, is a 3. So it's a little under that. So it's not too bad. I think I may have liked it more than normal people. But. And then this one is a reread. It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han, second book in the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. I read those books for the first time summer of 2020 during COVID. I absolutely love them. I had read To All the Boys I've Loved Before during middle school, and then I read that and I realized I liked it more, and then the show came out and everybody else became obsessed with it, and I'm just so happy. Like, if you don't know what it is, it's just the continuation of The Summer I Turned Pretty. This girl named Belly, she's like a teenager, and she spends the summers at this house on the beach with her mom, and it's actually her mom's best friend's house. And her 2 sons also go in the summer, and their friendships, but the second book is like after some stuff. I don't want to explain it because this is the second book, because stuff goes on in the first book I don't want to spoil. Anyways, the first time I read it, I gave it 5 stars because it was 2020. I was 14. Like, my tastes have changed. I've also read a lot more since then, so I changed it to a 3.5. So like a little better than my average. I was not expecting this. On January 16th, I read When Fate Breaks by Nikki Witt. It was a 5-star. The thing is, I haven't really thought about it this month, but right after I read it, like 2 weeks after, I did really think about it. I thought it was really good. They were like childhood friends, again, like family friends, kind of like, if you like The Summer I Turned Pretty, I feel like you'll like this. And then they fell out of touch, like something happened, they don't talk for years. She's like about to get married, like her fiance's like rich. Like, they live in this huge house, and then there's this greenhouse that's like falling apart and it looks really ugly. So she remembers that this childhood friend, he really loved plants. So she decides to call him up and be like,
hey, can you help me with this?
I'm not gonna talk about this one very long. It's As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. I did read that for AP Lit. The next book I read on January 21st, and it is a Christmas book because I didn't get to it during the holiday season. It is A Very Merry Bromance, the 5th book in the Bromance Book Club series. It's by Alyssa K. Adams. I gave it a 3, so it wasn't my favorite out of the series, but I love this series. Like, I have to tell you, it's one of like the funniest series I've ever read. But I wasn't really digging the Christmas special. I don't know. I have to be in a certain mood to read holiday stuff, and it has to be like really good. Next book I had was Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I gave it a 4.5. It was cute. This like girl, I always forget names, but she comes into town. She's trying to like get out of her hometown. Like something really traumatic happened and she needs like a break. So she lives in the city, they have this big lake, and she sees this guy, and it's him, the guy who like does not speak. And nobody likes him because they think he's a weirdo, but then she gets to know him. She's like, oh wait, like he's actually like really nice. I finished this book on January 26th. I did read or listen to the audiobook. It's Winning the War in Your Mind, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life by Craig Groeschel. He is the pastor, and I think he founded Life Church, and also if you use the YouVersion Bible app, like his church runs that. I just think he's an insanely good speaker. I think his insight is really powerful. In this book specifically, I feel like you don't even have to be Christian to enjoy it, but for me, I really did think it was very enjoyable. I think it was just like self-help, but Christian. I did read his other book, The Christian Atheist, about 2 years ago. So I did a reread, Beach Read by Emily Henry. I gave it a 5 stars again. Clap if you're surprised. I love this book. If you don't know what it is, it's in Michigan, which I'm from Michigan, so it's really cute. And it's like a little beach town, and I can just imagine it in my head. There are 2 writers. January moves in to this beach house, and her dad owned it, but her dad just passed away. And pretty much he was having an affair, and him and the woman he was cheating on her mom with would stay at this house. So she has to come move in, and she really just wants to get rid of everything and put it up on the market and sell it and get rid of it. Very traumatic, and she's also dealing with grief. And then right next door is Gus, and Gus is also a writer. They also went to college together, and they were kind of like academic rivals. I think it just has a lot of depth. The next book I finished also on the 29th, The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegmund Broca. I gave it a 3 star. Thought it was cute. I kind of think I read it too close to Beach Read because it's kind of similar. They're both writers again, and they wrote these 2 books. They went massive, like were so popular, and then something happened and they don't talk again. But pretty much when they signed their contract, there was one more book that they had to write. Both of their agents are like,
hey, like you gotta go write this book.
So they go back to this house that they rented on the beach to write this third book, but they actually hate each other. They can't stand each other. This was my first book of February. It's February 1st. It's called The Year of Less: How I Stopped Shopping, Gave Away My Belongings, and Discovered Life is Worth More Than Anything You Can Buy in a Store by Kate Flanders. I liked it. I've kind of been like on a decluttering spree, and similarly to that, Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up: The Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing by Marie Kondo kind of gave the same tips, but a little more extreme than Kate Flanders. Next, I read The Summer Place. I finished it on February 15th. I gave it a 2-star. I don't even know how to explain the plot because there's just so much going on, and I can't even.
How am I gonna? I can't even. There's nothing left for me.
Pretty disappointed. Last but not least is Final Offer by Lauren Asher, which is the third and final book. The fine print, terms and conditions, and then it's Final Offer. It's about the third last brother, and I rated it a 3. I was really excited until I wasn't. I liked it, but I feel like it was way too long. We could have shortened it by like 150 pages. He's dealing with an addiction, and sometimes I felt the way like the female protagonist addressed it was kind of like a little icky. Something along the lines of like, you don't care about me, that's why you can't give up alcohol. That's not really how addiction works, and I feel like it's super insensitive. But I like the rest of the book. Again, other than that, those 2 things, I did like it. I was a little disappointed. I feel like I've heard that from a lot of people. Either people say that this is their favorite book out of the trilogy, or that they were a little disappointed. Those are all of the books I read in January and February. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do all the YouTube things you already know how to do, and I'll see you soon.